where we are with just the parents in sports. This was like an AAU moment.
So I'm willing to forgive them for this and not say, oh, he's got to be banned for life from courtside or whatever. But
thrilling game, thrilling finish, where Tyrese Haliburton scores the final 5 points for the Pacers. They advance in a series-clinching Game 5 over the Bucks. And what could be Giannis' final game as a Buck? He could be traded. There's talk of that. I would not want to trade spots with John Haliburton, who, got out of hand. He's waving a towel with his son's
face on the towel.
And again, the emotions are high in this game. There's a scuffle amongst players after the game while this is going on.
Benedict Mathurin and Giannis kind of shaking hands, exchange words, and then Giannis grabbed him almost around the throat.
Yeah.
And they got into it, and then players were knocking them off of each other.
Yeah,
this is old school
crazy.
NBA with the players getting after it.
To this point, I haven't seen any punishment for what the NBA is going to do in this regard. But, Chad, my biggest takeaway thus far is somehow Giannis stayed composed while he's there. And he says he, of course, didn't know it was Tyrese's father at first.
Just thought it was a fan.
Yeah, if you're
loose on the court.
Think about that. We had a UFL player slap a fan.
Yeah,
last weekend, and we've seen Stephen A. Smith go at it with LeBron.
We've seen Shannon Sharp go at it with John Morant's father, courtside. We've seen Jermaine Burton hit a woman running on the field.
Yes,
at Tennessee. I mean, we've seen a lot of bad interaction with fans.
Look, here it is.
We haven't even got to Malice the Palace yet when it talks about player and fan interaction.
And here it is. This is looking down on father. Just how big Giannis is, tall. Tyrese Haliburton handled it a complete 180-degree turn from his father. He handled it well. Here's Tyrese apologizing.
As far as the incident between Giannis and my pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. I think basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. But I think we had a conversation, and I think he just needs to just allow me to just play basketball, stay over there. I'll come to him to celebrate. But I think just the emotions of the game just got excited there. But I talked with him. I'll talk with Giannis eventually about it. Just I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there.
I do love the fact that he apologizes for his dad with shades on in the press conference, though. That's a bold move when you're trying to tell the truth on something. I always think back to Michael Jordan, if you remember when he got busted going to Atlantic City during a Knicks series, and he had to do an interview with Ahmad Rashad, and Ahmad Rashad during the Last Dance was saying, "Michael, we're buddies, man. You showed up in sunglasses for your apology video and interview." He's just in shades the whole time, denying gambling allegations during that. That's the way I felt watching Tyrese Haliburton. He was very sincere, I thought. But I love that he had the sunglasses on as he did it.
He did not have the sunglasses on today when he went on McAfee's show, and he handled it perfectly there too. So shout out there. And I mean, sunglasses. Wear the sunglasses if you're going to win the game. You're going to have the game winner. But he's having to address things on behalf of a parent who's once again involved in a storyline for things that are not on the positive side here. You've got plenty of examples, which we'll dive into in a bigger discussion in a moment. But here is Giannis and his takeaway, his response.
I believe being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta tag and it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay? And that doesn't even say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort. But I remember when I won, my mom, that she's never missed the games. When we won the championship, I remember my mom, she was scared to cross. She was like, am I allowed to come and hug my son?
And he goes a lot further, too, and talks about Tyrese's dad and not knowing it was the dad, everything we talked about. And we're at a good place now, having talked since then. So the dad clearly apologized to him before even the press conference took place. And
he doesn't go by Pops, he goes by Papa Haliburton on social.
Papa Haliburton. I sincerely apologize to Giannis. the Milwaukee Bucks and the Pacers organization for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again. Well said.
Yeah.
Short but sweet. You didn't put any blame on anyone else. Didn't talk about the heat of the moment or emotions or any of that. Just you were a jackass and you owned it and you said it.
And unfortunately, there is, Chad, I subscribe to the dumbass tax. In that moment, if you go onto the player's space there and you're doing something or say something, there's no telling what you're going to get as your receipt. I thought Giannis handled it well. So did Tyrese. But in regards to Giannis, who could be the face of the league, that was a great representation as to why. Where we are with just the parents in sports, this was like an AAU moment. Except AAU would have some swings involved probably. I say probably. I mean, again, if Giannis
it would have turned into a viral video for some game featuring 15 fans.
I think
because
so.
Two groups of parents and players got into it.
But there is now the culture of the parent getting overly involved emotionally turns into I'm going to do, the right or entitled to do something on the field of play or the court. Also, why didn't Indiana Pacers get him off the court?
Also,
see what I'm saying?
If this is going to be the example, if John Haliburton and T. Morant, Ja's dad, sitting courtside, getting into it with every NBA officiating crew and getting kicked out of a game, at what point do teams start saying your parents can't sit courtside like you're at an AAU game?
Well, because
we're not going to allow you to have those tickets. They're going to sit up in a suite.
I mean,
and they're going to be away from it. This isn't. They're not going to bring orange slices out to you after the game. So why the hell do they need to be right there?
I would say he should have to. If I'm dueling out what's the NBA going to do? Make him watch it from the family room in the court in the concourse.
In the stands, just not courtside.
No, but you have to set the tone for we got to stop this crap.
I know.
So. Unfortunately for John Haliburton, he's going to be the messenger to everyone else based on the punishment. That's how I would handle it. I'm not going to ban him from the arena, but just watch it in the family room for a series if it's that important to you.
Well, look, I'll say the way John Haliburton handled it after the fact, he was a complete jackass in the moment.
Sure.
But the way he handled it after the fact is far better than anything T. Morant has ever said or done or handled it. Far better than any way Ja Morant has handled any situation after getting in trouble. So I don't want to make these two the poster children and father for these types of incidents, because I do think that the way Tyrese handled it after the fact and the way John handled it after the fact was top notch. So I'm willing to forgive them for this and not say, he's got to be banned for life from courtside or whatever. But the dumbass tax or whatever you want to call it, I think it applies here too. Now, that should absolutely be the message to, let's say, a T. Morant or someone who has no contrition about their behavior courtside, is you can't sit courtside anymore.
Let me chime in on this, though. But it's only this sentiment because Giannis handled it well. If Giannis gets physical there, this guy's probably banned from the arena. And you see what I'm saying?
And it's a bad situation for Giannis because he ends up hurting somebody physically, and he's not going to look good either.
So it's clean because Giannis handled it well.
Yeah.
So I want to point that out because if hypothetically, if he goes up to Ja Morant and does that, what's the perception I have of Ja Morant? He's going to do something to hand out a receipt for the dumbass tax. Again, that's on John Haliburton, not Ja Morant. I'm saying that Giannis handled it better than most, probably me. I'm not looking down on it. You could crush this guy.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from on it. It's a much bigger issue. It's like Morgan Wallen throwing a bar stool over on Broadway. Nothing came of it because he didn't hit anybody.
Well, anybody,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, anybody that's in that position, being a professional athlete or in the NBA, you are deeply competitive, or you should be.
Should be.
To make it to that point, 99% of these guys are deeply both talented and competitive. So all of them should understand what it's like at your lowest moment after a tough loss or at the end of a season when you are eliminated. I would want every player to apply some level of empathy to the losing team in those moments. Now, Winston Churchill famously said that history is written by the victors. And there's some truth to that, okay? When you win, you were granted certain things. And that's true. And I love what Giannis had to say about that. Someone's going to come back and say, oh, who cares? You don't cry. They get to do whatever they want. They get to celebrate. They get to get in your face and taunt you. Do whatever because they won. If you don't like it, win next time. I think that's complete BS. I think it's complete BS. And I wish I think most people agree with me on this. There needs to be a bottom line of acceptable versus unacceptable behavior. When you are the winning team, it is more on you to show a little bit of class. You can celebrate all you want with your team, all of that, with your fans. Do all of that stuff. But turning to the opponent who fought hard and was recently defeated and taunting them in their face is unacceptable behavior. Now, if there's some level of bad blood that there's like fights in the series and you get into it with someone who just said something to you that you're competing with, a competitor, that's one thing. We'd have to take that as a case-by-case basis. Still not right. But for John Haliburton, someone who didn't play a second in the series, to get in the face of Giannis in that moment and do that, it's completely wrong. And I want everyone to agree with that and to accept this as fact. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Because I guarantee you this clip will be posted and someone's going to say, oh, quit bitching and being a crybaby about it. They lost. They get to do whatever. No, Giannis is right. He is 100% right in this situation. Everything he said is right. Giannis should be more of the face of the NBA and marketed more for what he stands for and how he handles press conferences and everything else. And I stand behind him and what he said. It's unacceptable for that type of behavior. But Hutton, I will say, positive note is that both John and Tyrese Haliburton have come back and said, yeah, it's unacceptable. It wasn't right. It's not a good moment. It's not a good look. And I, knock on wood, this is strong wood here on this desk.
It is.
Very strong wood. I'm going to knock on this wood. As of right now, I haven't had anyone in my mentions or a lot of people saying, oh, man, stop crying, Giannis. They get to do whatever they want. I would have done the same thing. By the way, there are a lot of parents that I've come across that would have handled it the same way that John Haliburton did. That are that way.
Yeah,
I don't know that those people that would do that, honestly, would even come back and apologize for it after the fact. I think they would think they were granted that right.
Yeah, it was their birthright.
Yeah.
The entitlement.
Oh, I don't like how you handle the situation, so I get to get in your face and do whatever I want.
Is that because you're living through your child? Like, you see what I'm saying? Or is it more than that? Is it just the society we're in where you get
I think you're living through your child, and it's also a justification of, well, they made me mad or they did this.
Yeah.
So I get to do whatever I want now in return. Now that we won, I'm now granted the right to go yell and scream in their face or say whatever and clap in their face or do anything like that, and not just let's take a beat, take a step back and not say anything.
And then it's also how they're handled post-incident.
Yeah.
Like, I'm keeping an eye on it just to see if anything comes down today. Because this is something that needs to be addressed by the NBA. Moving forward to the next series, you have to send some type of message. Because again, this wasn't messy. It didn't end where Giannis ends up looking like the bad guy because he's towering over, the older man. Giannis really protected himself here very well, because I think he would be the face of the story today.
No, you're
not
right.
Being able to keep his composure after a loss and not being able to, hang on to the victory. With the Haliburton scoring the final five, and then it's more of your sentiment where it's like, oh, if you want to get, you were more physical and you cared more post game than you did in game. Like I
don't think they'll do anything other than a statement.
You got to stop the.
I think that they will make some sort of statement about it's unacceptable, it's not right. But boy, we show the gift of unity here and forgiveness the way they handled it after the fact. And they have been, verbally warned or written warning to the Pacers about it and fan behavior. But I don't think anything's going to happen. You know why I don't think it's going to happen? Because John Morant, nothing big happened to him when he started throwing grenades when they said stop shooting guns as a celebration, right? He just kept doing it. He just changed it up a little bit and kept doing it, kept mocking the league. And I don't think he got fined an amount that he can't part with.
No, I mean,
he continued doing it.
I think his total was like $75,000 for the gun celebration.
Right.
And that's it. Has T. Morant been moved away from the court? Because did he get into it with a player at one time? With a Warriors player, maybe?
Yes.
I'm I'm vague on this because I don't remember the exact moment, but I don't know if there was like some type of recourse that either the team or the league took. And it doesn't have to, I'm not saying you have to ban the guy or fine it, whatever. No.
I think he should be banned from courtside, honestly.
Oh, well, I'm saying I'm
not saying Haliburton should,
series,
but T. Morant
Well, I'm saying
should.
for a series, just do something that takes you away from being able to, continue that. Although, based on the reaction here by those involved, I feel like they understand what happened. And props to Tyrese Haliburton. Right after the game, after winning the game, you're admitting and telling everyone, yeah, my dad's in the wrong.
And we had a conversation.
And that had to be tough.
Yeah, and it's not easy to say. I had to go talk to my dad and say, don't do that again.
Yeah,
but he did, and I give him credit for that, and I think Giannis handled it well. Giannis has a lot of great press conference moments. That was one of his best.
I agree.
The full 3 minutes and 40 seconds of everything he said on it and about his upbringing and what his dad taught him, how you enter a room and how you behave yourself, and it's really, really good. He's awesome. I love that guy. I love what he stands for. I love his game, and I love how he handled that situation. I just want us all to agree this is acceptable versus this is unacceptable. There's gray in life and in sports. There's always gray in life and sports. There are certain things, though, that should be universally accepted as this is the truth of the matter. Parents or fans should not go get in the face of a competitor that's in the arena and taunt them the moment the game ends. I'd say that for the competitor that wins. The grace falls on you. Offer grace to the vanquished opponent in that moment. It's basketball. It's not war. You can do that, and you can celebrate and be happy, but go tell them good job. Go pick them up off the court. Do any of that. Don't get in their face and immediately start talking trash when the game's over.
Yeah, there is gray because of all the trash talk that happens in the game with fans. Fans saying something over the guardrail for a football game behind the bench.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens. In this case, he just walked on the court, just went out there. I'm sure the security would know who he is. He's done that a million times, probably.
I think, too,
you see what I'm saying?
I think players can get a little bit carried away. Just that this is the inverse of that. But you mentioned it. Players win on the road, and sometimes they get a little too carried away.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the place was loud, where they're going up to the fans and getting in their face. Now, Hutton, if you're sitting courtside and someone's playing and they're giving you lip the whole game, and it's a back and forth, and you want to go to that person as a player and say something, I'm more okay with that. But when you just start gesturing towards the entire crowd, it can get ugly.
No, I'm not condoning the slapping a fan or anything like that. But being on the sidelines in the NFL, the fans, especially in certain markets, they go at those players from the jump.
Yeah.
And whenever the tide turns and you're on a bad team that ends up upsetting, then you come back and it's weird because these guys are, ultimate alphas. And I think Giannis showed us who the ultimate alpha was there, looking down on. That's just a funny thing.
And now what's next?
At what point, Chad,
what's next for him and the Bucks? That's the big question.
That's right. At what point do you think in this photo, in the moment, that John Haliburton he's still going through the antics, but he's thinking to himself, let's put it the other go. He's going through the antics, but he's thinking to himself, oh God, what am I doing? Because he's looking down, peering up, and noticing, please don't do it.
Please don't smash my head.
And what's security doing?
Like I'm a rock. I mean, he still looks pretty serious on the face there. There's not a lot of fear that I see. We're only seeing a side profile, though. But I've got to think in this moment he's thinking, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah, yes. In the back of your mind, you have to be like, oh, gosh, calm it down. I lost my mind for a moment.
I don't get a chance to watch a lot of movies anymore. I watch my TV shows that I try to catch every so often.
Yeah.
But I have been trying to watch a little bit more cinema lately. I don't go to the cinema as much as I want, but I have been watching movies. I watched a movie called The Order with Jude Law. That's a recent movie.
Very underrated guy.
Highly recommended. It's about a white supremacist group, true story, in the 80s that tried to break off the Pacific Northwest into an all-white area. And Jude Law plays an FBI agent that goes after this white supremacist group. Very good. But in the movie, Jude Law's interrogating someone. Put that picture back up of Giannis in the face of John Haliburton, because he's interrogating someone, and he's in a jail cell, and he gets the guy and he crowds him up against the side of the gel wall and like goes face to face with him and starts to smash his head as hard as he can into the wall,
into the concrete,
and asking him questions while he's doing it. But it's not like a quick shove.
Yeah.
He like slowly presses his entire body into the guy. And then
like melting him into the wall.
This is no big spoiler, but he has a bloody nose problem throughout the movie, and he starts bleeding all over him as he's doing it. He has a bloody nose in that moment. Jude Law does, and the guy's covered in blood on his face from where he's just face to face with him on the side of his face. I've never seen an interrogation tactic like it.
Yeah,
and I wonder if this is something the FBI uses that we don't know about often. He just gets cozies up right next to him when he comes in. He brings him something to drink, and he just slowly presses his head and body up against him, like trash compactor. Yeah. Absolutely, like a trash compactor going up against the wall. It was quite the technique. Oh, that's what I thought when I saw that picture.
So.
The Order, highly recommended.
Jude, also a very underrated name.
Jude, yes. Hey, Jude.
Hey, Jude.
Jude Law. Jude Law, very, very good actor.
Jude Law. What a name.
I like Jude Law with an American accent, too. I think it's his real name. I don't think that's
a name.
I don't think that's a stage name.
Jude Hayworth Law.
Yeah. Do you think you would decided on against Hayworth? He's like, should I be Jude Hayworth or Jude Law?
His children, Raph.
What is
Raph Law?
The movie Due Date, where Zach Galifianakis, his name is Ethan Chase, but he changes it to Ethan Tremblay, and he's like, to be an actor. And Robert Downey Jr. is like, Ethan Chase sounds like an actor.
Absolutely.
Ethan Tremblay sounds like stupid.
Sounds like
Why
a
would
baker.
you change it? He says a curse word in there, but it's really good.
The NFL
Ethan Tremblay
has handed down some punishment for the Falcons.
Jude Hayworth.
And the family of the defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. We'll discuss that and dive into the
Prankgate. We got to have a gate behind everything in the NFL. Now we have the Prankgate.
Yeah, the fine involving the team here and the DC. It's got to make for some awkward moments at home for the Sun. We'll discuss next.